What up? What up? Happy Tuesday, Tuesday, Tuesday. Let's see, we got, Trish is here tonight. Damn it. It feels like it's been forever since we've seen you.
Oh my gosh, school has got me sweatshop style. Oh my
Well,
God.
that's what you said. You said it's been hella hectic with school, so like I totally get it. I'm so glad you got to join us. And I was like, well, she's been online a little bit more, so maybe things have freed up a little bit for you.
It's so much better, so much better. I'm like getting
good
science crap again.
And you're in another master's program, right?
Yeah. It's so
I want to be
harder.
like you when I grow up. I swear I do. And I love what you're going to school for. Like, that's totally right up my alley, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll be happy to give you any advice after graduation.
Oh, my God. You can have all that school. Every once in a blue moon, I think about, like, going back to school, but I don't know. It would have to be online, and I don't know if I would be a good online student as an adult learner because I feel like I have to be in a classroom. You know what I mean? But the online thing just is such a major convenience. I'm like, would I force myself to be a good student as an adult learner? Because I don't know, maybe I just psych myself out, but yeah, this is what, a second master's for you?
Yeah.
Damn it. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that my first master's was online and something that I'd been doing for years anyway. It was public health, and I'd been working in public health stuff for years. So it was easy. The only thing was biostatistics was the only thing that really kicked it for me, but the rest of it was easy. Just lots of public health stuff. So, but this is freaking pathophysiology and chemistry and biochemistry and but it's really amazing.
Well, good.
It's like making me think. It's like back in the day, I'm like, I'm never going to use this chemistry. I'm never going to use this. I took an organic chemistry class like 10 years or so ago. And now I am so glad I did.
You're using it.
Using it right now.
Wow. Well, I mean, but that's like, I guess if there's any good thing that comes out of school, at least you can say you're actually using it, right? Because how many times have we all said, I haven't used nothing that they taught me in high school, or never used this theory, and blah blah blah. But so I mean, I guess at least you get your money's worth. At least you get to use it. That's cool. That's cool. How long will this program last?
I'll be done in December.
Oh shit, it was really fast.
Yeah.
So did you do one of those cram a whole bunch in a shorter window of time kind of things?
No, master's programs are just really 2-year things. So I took my
2 years?
I took longer. Wow. That's if you're full time. Like last time I did part time, and so it took 3-4 years. But now that I'm I'm like, okay, well, my brain's in the groove. I got this online style going. I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to try full time because nobody can find jobs anyway, right?
Right.
This was last year.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, I'll go full time, and so I can get a loan and everything. And it's just it's so much easier than I expected in terms of being able to do it in that short of time.
That's cool.
But if I go get a PhD afterward, then I'm just like, okay, well, that could take anybody 8 years.
Oh my God. So my God. That's like the forever student. I used to want a PhD a long time ago, but that is forever school.
Forever. Yeah, I am thinking, though, this is actually getting me considering becoming a naturopathic doctor afterward, and to get an ND. I still got to explore that stuff, but it'd be pretty, synonymous with getting a doctoral in terms of having a practice, and I'd be able to not only diagnose, but also take insurance.
Yeah, and that's always a plus. if you have the MD, obviously, yeah, because most naturopaths aren't able to utilize insurance billing, right? Like most, I mean, every naturopath I've ever known has always been cash basis. So I guess that would be different if you have the MD behind your name. You can still practice natural. You're just an MD.
Well, there's people who are ND and MD, and then there's people who are like an ND, but in order to be able to accept insurances, they'll find a MD who is open to working together, share an office, blah blah blah.
True.
And so that'd be interesting.
That'd be awesome. I mean, I guess that's all, that's the ultimate goal, is somebody who wants to be in, a health practitioner. Hell yeah.
Because there are doctors, there are MDs, medical doctors that, do wish that they were legally allowed to apply their medical knowledge to like the kind of philosophy that we have in terms of thinking from the whole body perspective, not just one organ and one specific type of body system, So if I am there to, let's say I work for a gastroenterologist, and they're dealing with somebody like IBS is huge in our country. So, well, what if, like if I'm an ND and he's got me working for him or her, then, this doctor could say, hey, how is this treatment that I'm giving the person for their IBS going to be affecting like their neurology?
Right.
They can't legally do that. I could.
Wow.
Yeah.
They have to treat just their symptoms.
Area of degree. Yeah. Their licenses.
I mean, and of course that makes sense, right? But I don't know, I guess as a doctor or a physician or somebody who cares for the body, like you can't just treat one part. Like you literally have to treat the entire system. And you do have to know what contradicts, what's good, what's not good. But I just don't see how you can, I don't know, maybe that's one of my struggles with traditional medicine, is that they treat generally just the symptoms. You don't treat the entire body. You don't treat the mental health while you're treating the physical health, the spiritual health while you're treating, the body, and all of those things that, mind, body, and spirit, all those things work simultaneously. They work together. I remember when my grandmother was essentially dying in a nursing home. We moved to Texas when I was 8. So, I wasn't around our immediate family for a large portion of my life, but we would go back every summer or whatever. And so, growing up with this grandmother and then leaving for such a long period of time, there was definitely a physical disconnect there. But I just remember, even as an adult who hadn't, really spent a whole lot of time with my grandmother the last 10 years of my life before she passed, I remember looking at her in her bed, just thinking, her mental health is dead. Like it's gone, like her physical body is obviously struggling with the heart conditions that she had, but like her spiritual health was just fucking shot. Like she wasn't happy where she was. She had come from living, like she had spent the last 15-20 years of her life in like a 55 on up community. So not even like an old people's, retirement place. It was a very active, 55 on up. And that was just her life. That was her social world. That was her support system. That was her, she had her garden, like all of these things. And, I just remember seeing her go from like this very vivacious, lively, whole health kind of woman to just laying in a fucking hospital bed, eventually just dying off. And it was like absolutely none of her spiritual, it was just the energy of spiritual malady. Like and when your spirit goes, the body just fucking follows you. You watch the heart kind of fall apart and break. You watch the organs shut down and just, not have the same energy to fight or to live, for that matter. So I don't know. I guess that's one of the things that always interested me about, OMDs, Oriental medicine doctors and shit like that. Like we grew up with a lot of those in our lives. It's just how it was the whole body's health, not just the kidneys because of this, or the liver because of this, or the heart because of this.
And it was also, I mean, it's funny you bring up, spirituality and everything, because stress on the mind does affect stress on the body. Stress does affect the
Absolutely.
body. And so that was one of the first things they taught us in pathophysiology. Well, I mean, in my practice, even if I can't diagnose, I mean, not as an ND, like right when I'm done with this degree, I won't be able to diagnose, but I will be able to treat. And I can be, right now I'm just studying herbs and nutrition. However, I can still add other things to it, like, if I want to get spiritual or, whatever, I can, do some wellness training. And so if they need something for their anxiety or something, not only do I give them some herbs, and tell them, what, B vitamins they need, but I can also say, okay, well, we're going to do a meditation kind of, just kind of get more into that kind of realm. And I actually also thought about getting, I mean, it costs $1,000, but if I'm done with this and still want to get back into psychology, I could go and get a hypnotherapy certificate or license. You can get it for like $900.
Oh, wow.
Then I could add psychology to the list of treatment options and apply that to the nutrition and herbs. What I'm really getting into, I could talk about this forever, sorry, but I've been studying mushrooms so
Have
much.
you really? Do you microdose? Do you microdose?
Oh yeah. I used to.
Okay. So you're familiar.
I worked on so many farms in California, so I had access to them all the time, anytime I want to, but like now, like I made I made some salve, for instance, some dermatological salve with reishi and shiitakes, and so it's so good for your skin. It's not just vitamins and minerals and everything, but it makes your skin so soft. It'll get that dead skin off. It'll it's good for like if you have acne or wounds or and it's really got some antioxidant and stuff like that in it, and it's just amazing.
Plants are amazing, period. Like the power of plants is fucking phenomenal. Like, and I knew that before I was a vegan, you know what I'm saying? So going vegan for me was just like, it was perfect. I mean, it literally was like fitting a puzzle piece where it was supposed to go. Like just the way that your body thrives with the proper compounds and nutrients and foods, and that's cool. I don't like to eat mushrooms, and I've never microdosed either. But I've got some friends who've struggled with some pretty heavy depression and anxiety, and even some addiction issues. Where that's kind of a controversial topic. Treating one addiction with another mood-altering substance. However, natural substances versus man-made pharmaceuticals oftentimes are also very different chemical compounds, but a friend of mine was actually just talking about some ketamine dosing from her doctor for some addiction issues. So that's always interesting to me, because it's like old school is becoming, accepted a little more in this new school, and back in the day that would never have been allowed,
No, people ignored what's his name, Albert Hoffman. They ignored his concept of microdosing. It wasn't until like 50 years later the word came back into the equation, and now it's just like, oh my gosh, like people are really acknowledging it now. There was actually a study that I just read that just came out, I mean like yesterday, that said that that microdosing with psilocybin didn't really show any more effects than the placebos did. But that was the first study I've seen of that. Other studies I've seen.
I would find that hard to believe.
Well,
and the reason I say that is because I've seen how microdosing has helped people, where studies like that oftentimes, in my opinion, I think are can be pharmacologically, weighted sometimes,
Well, the question is, what kind of shrooms did they use?
True.
What kind of, there's a lot of things that I don't see in the studies that would affect the equation. Which ones are visual? Like if you go to Amsterdam and look at the menus, they'll be like, okay, these kinds are visual, these kinds are more, feel, these
sensory.
Ones are more So what kind did they use? That kind of thing. But also it's like, it's all the other studies that I've seen haven't been of microdosing. They have been, though, of shrooms at larger doses, maybe like what we would know as like maybe half an eighth or something like that, but the treatment with those kind of doses has shown so much progress that I've come up to the Santa Cruz area so that I can do this kind of stuff legally.
Right. Okay. So you're back in California.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And Santa Cruz is the best place. I mean, I've already bonded with this mushroom shop there that has like 50 different kinds of mushrooms, and they love me. They're like, "Oh, let's do that. What's your name?"
Oh, that's cool.
But it's legal. There's
is ayahuasca is that legal there, or is that legal anywhere? Is it? Okay.
Oh wait, religiously. Religious, it's still under the title of religion, but yeah, there's places that you can go all around California. I'd say that, yeah.
I've had some people ask me about that, and I don't know a whole hell of a lot. I just know that it's it's traditionally a tribal spiritual part of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say ritual, but I guess it is,
They do a ritual style. If you if you want to go to somebody who's safe and know what they're doing and make sure that you do it right, then you go to a guru who does an appropriate ceremony for it. And actually, I think it's funny you mention that, because right now I'm in a toxicology class, and I probably will do my semester research paper on ayahuasca. Because part of the ritual, part of the procedure of the treatment. And I've known, oh my gosh, I have a guru friend who's done it a million times for his, he's a veteran. He'd be
PTSD.
Oh yeah, he had a bad, and it was the only thing that worked.
Yeah.
But the toxicity part comes in the aspect of what happens is they'll eat it, they'll do a certain nutritional thing, like a certain amount of water to drink or blah blah blah, do the ceremony, and they as much as beautiful as this may sound, the person will vomit like everywhere, right?
Oh wow. Okay.
It's so much, and that's part of the therapeutic intervention that your neurology will apply, and psychology. Your neurons associate a lot of it with the purging, and it is like people that I know who have done it said like it's amazing like how different you feel afterward. So
it's interesting when you tap into those other parts of the brain that most chemicals biologically don't do. When people have DMT trips and just shit that you can only experience like under a bit of a hallucinogenic state of mind, tapping into places in the brain that you don't generally tap into.
Well, now that I'm learning about the liver, I'm learning about the liver and the kidneys, but the liver and the brain are so hand in hand in many ways that it's making me wonder, like, okay, well, what is it about this toxicity of the ayahuasca that hits the like P450 in the liver or whatever it is it's in there, and how does that connect to the liver, to the neurological aspect of it?
Well, the gut-brain association is very fucking heavy, that if you generally clean your gut, the rest of the body, performs at a better shape. What do they say? The brain and the gut are your first and second brain or some shit like that,
I did a project on that my first semester, like the effects of H. pylori on if you get H. pylori, like how it affects your neurology. The stomach, brain.
Cool. See, and I could talk about this all fucking day, but I won't. We could talk about that on the side, like for those of y'all that are listening to the conversation, appreciate it. Again, we talk about everything I hear tonight. And tonight was just kind of a freestyle, kind of setting. We didn't really have any topics in mind, but it's good to have you back, Matt. I hope you're feeling well. Glad to have you on the show tonight.
Oh, I hope to be able to come more often again. Like,
hell yeah.
It's gonna be hit or miss, but...
Sheldon, I see you over there on the YouTube channel. So thank you for following us over on the YouTube channel. Let me do a little back up a little bit and do a little introduction, just real quick. If you are not following us on our YouTube channel, please do. Our YouTube channel is Freethinkers Worldwide. It is absolutely free to join and subscribe. We will follow you back. Again, every week, slowly, our membership is growing over on the YouTube channel. So that is our ultimate goal, is to push as much as we can over to YouTube. So do join us on the YouTube channel, Freethinkers Worldwide. If you're interested in any of the topics that we discuss, we have everyday chatter on our Facebook page, which of course is just #Freethinkers. Follow us on both pages, but if you set up notifications on YouTube, then when we set these live conversations, when the show goes live, you'll have an instant notification. So shouldn't miss us. And of course, we just ask that you try to jump in at the beginning of our conversation versus middle or end, just so that way you're caught up and you know what we're talking about. But you can jump in this sucker at any point. We do realize that we've got a lot of friends out there who work nights or who are at work. So just pop the headphones in and hit play and listen to us if you're unable to join in the show. If you do want to get into tonight's conversation live and be a part of the panel, jump on in. On the Facebook page, it's got a StreamYard link. And again, the link changes every single Tuesday, so it's never going to be the same link. But you can engage over there, and that'll bring you into the conversation. Otherwise, any comments, looks like comments on Facebook and YouTube are showing up in our comment section. So we will be able to follow with some of the comments that are being posted. So thank you to everybody who is watching and supporting us. Hit the share button, share button, share button, share button. Tonight, we're just going to talk about randomness. We do what's called pick a post. And so we just kind of, scroll through the last couple weeks, sometimes months worth of things that have been posted on the page. And if we hadn't talked about it yet, or if the conversation's good on the page and we just hadn't had the conversation about it on here yet, then we're going to talk about it. So no specific topics in mind tonight, but there are a few posts on there. Hopefully Q has scrolled and figured which ones we're going to talk about tonight. There's a couple good ones on there. I don't know, Matt, Trisha, if you guys have had a chance at all yet to look at the page and see if there's any posts in particular that you want to converse about tonight. By chance, have y'all looked at any posts? Is there anything in particular that you want to talk about before I pass the mic over to Q?
I looked at I was looking earlier. I saw the one with Elon Musk talking to the guy about how robots will be able to do the jobs better than everybody, and how there'll be what was the term he used? Like everyone will have a certain income, like a global, like
universal income, I think is the word that he used.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Like he said, that's not what he wants to happen, but that's what he sees happening.
But do you realize that the computer geniuses, we'll go with the Elons, the Bezos, the Gates, the computer fucking gods right now, right? Their income, I mean, the amount of billions that they made during the first 2 years of this pandemic, exclusively because so much has been pushed virtually, so much has been pushed work from home, so much has been pushed, into the computer world. There's when he said that that's not necessarily what he wants, but that's what's happening, I was like, yes, that is exactly what you want. This is benefiting your bottom dollar. Like, you will forever be set monetarily because of what is happening with the virtual world and how people are just really, in my opinion, co-signing on all things being artificial intelligence and robot based, and no workers because it's not safe to go into work. So we'll have robots, man all of the cash registers and shit like that. The universal income thing was a little bit interesting to me, but when I saw that video, it made me feel, on one hand, I didn't like how it felt at all, because I don't like this shit at all. I don't. The replacing of humans. But at the same time, it's happening. We've been seeing this shit in movies for, 20 years already.
Well, it started with the Industrial Revolution, and this still just keeps, like, the past 20 years has just made a huge leap. But Andrew Yang brought it up during the election. He wants to take care of this problem now. But yeah, like shoot, any of us from Decatur understands it, sees it with right in front of our faces. You got Caterpillar and John Deere that just knocked out tons of workers when they sold their equipment to ADM. Like, you got all that corn being harvested, not by people, it's by machines. So you got those huge tractors. You got like a lot of industries that are doing that too. Like, you know, and then they just, computer industries, or I should say software and engineering and everything. And it's so highly beneficial, but you got to compensate. You know, these people are losing jobs, and a lot more independent workers and nowadays and everything, but you got to find something if it's replacing the workers, and if there's nothing to replace them, then there's got to be compensation. So what if some of those businesses, those industrial businesses, had a huge chunk of their taxes go toward that basic income?
And I just wonder, like, who is going to really support a universal income? You know, because how many times do you see these people today saying shit like, "Oh, nobody wants to work"? No, it's not that everybody doesn't want to work. Yes, of course, some people probably don't want to fucking work, right? But the majority of people want to work, want to be producers, want to have income coming into their home. And right now, you've got like divisions of the working class that are being completely decimated, who don't have a workforce to even go to anymore because they've been replaced by automated this and automated that, and you know, people from overseas, and obviously those are still humans, but eventually wiping those out of the equation too. Like, I don't like any of this at all. I was just reading something today that I think it's Amazon. I guess they're kind of in this little war right now somewhere in Africa. I don't know where it was, but somewhere in Africa on like native lands, Amazon was fixing to build another ungodly huge ass facility, and they're like, "Oh, but it's going to give 200 jobs." What the fuck is 200 jobs if you're building on native land that you shouldn't be building on to begin with? However, at the same time, that's 200 jobs, right? But it's like, this is like the perfect example of the lesser evil, in my opinion. And I am just not with all of the robotic, automated, wipe out human stuff. But we are such a society of convenience and, you know, low discipline sometimes that we will totally allow this shit to happen to us. They will wipe us the fuck out. And you know, I don't know. They don't, you know, those same organizations don't like to pay taxes as is. So can you imagine them having to put a portion of their profits to cover the income for people who can't work anymore? Like, I don't see that going over very well.
And who determines how much each family gets?
Right.
So that's my thing. Do they go on what you used to make and how much you used to? And I mean, if the people aren't making any money, then who do they expect to consume these goods and services? That's
it's like, I don't know if you guys had seen videos or heard of in the last couple of weeks, I guess a bunch of the trains in California are being looted by, you know, just people who are, you know, basically robbing fucking train cars on the rail tracks. And so I remember seeing a video about a week and a half ago of just train cars bust open, and we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of empty fucking Amazon packages, and you know, just things that people have purchased online for shipping somewhere just being ripped open, and how people are of course complaining about their shipments and so on and so forth. But it's like, you know, people were complaining, of course, you know, oh, these thieves, and they just, you know, breaking into people's shit and stealing people's stuff and all this stuff. Okay, fine. Yes, absolutely. But like, how many consumers are fucking addicted to shopping online? How many consumers are addicted to buying packages 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, a week, that are just contributing to this whoring out of like the online shopper, you know, the mass consumer. Like, do you really need all this stuff all the time? Or is it just easy and convenient to hit, you know, ship or, you know, buy now? And I don't know. It just looking at, honestly, the debris, how much fucking trash there was from these train cars having been broke into and things stolen from them. Like, we're talking about look like a warehouse with a roof blown off of it, like a tornado hit it type shit. Like, it was an absolute disaster. And it's just, you know, the downside, I guess, to human appetite, I guess, is shit like that. But like, if you went to the store, we wouldn't have that problem. If you went into your mom and pop and supported your mom and pop, you know, kept these mom and pops open as opposed to your big box suppliers who don't give a damn, you know, we would have a little bit less of these issues. But like, you know, I've been saying it this whole entire 2 years during this pandemic, like, we're not going back to the way things were. Like, it is progressively going to get to that point, and the whole universal income thing, it has to happen if this is what's going to happen. But I don't know. I feel like I just don't feel like this is a good fucking direction to be moving, but I guess we don't have a choice. Q, did you see that short little video that was posted that Matt's talking about?
I didn't read the video, but I was just wondering, like, why would they make are you talking about the one with the robots?
Well, it was just a conversation with Elon Musk and somebody.
I mean, the post that had like the robots on there. It was one of them. So I'm like, why you make it look exactly like iRobot? Like,
oh, that was the robots having feelings. That was the robots being given emotions. That, I think Stacy posted one about like a robot who like got mad that a person went to touch its nose, and the robot's like, bitch, like, wait a minute. Why are you giving these robots the ability to experience emotion? Like, every robot movie we've ever watched, we've seen how bad this goes when they give robots emotion.
Like, somebody made a comment that I thought of that is just reading my mind. The first thing I thought of was Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh, that was so fucking gross then too. Teddy Ruxpin was horrible. But I read that one. Remember when like the tape would get screwed? It didn't go chop, but it would go screw. Like when your batteries on Teddy Ruxpin were going low, and like the tapes just slowly spinning. Like, Teddy Ruxpin sounded really evil. But you're right. iRobot, Terminator, shit. Every robot movie that's ever been made, when you give a robot the ability to have human emotions, they're gonna fucking take over.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I'm a little choppy right now, but this is my question about that.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to technology, can we turn our backs on technology? So what I mean is, as weird or as much as we think we shouldn't do it, when we possess the capabilities to do it, how do you turn away from it?
People with disabilities, those of us in the disability community, oh my God, like, it's making us be able to live on your plane of existence. It is, you know, I mean, I could name off a million inventions right now that are making us be able to depend on ourselves and not having to depend on all these other people. You know, whether it be the automated driving cars, or even eyeglasses and hearing aids, or the vagus nerve stimulator that, you know, will help epilepsy and addiction, or you know, the machines that are help nonverbal people be able to speak. You know, amputees getting artificial limbs. I could go on and on and on. It's like a lot of people
saying the
think
good
about the disability community,
because it's bad things too. So the bad and the good, they all have to come together.
Yeah, it's all about how you apply it and how you limit people who are going a little power trip with it. You know,
but you do understand people will go.
But there's your problem, and exactly, there's your problem.
For good, all the good it does, it's also going to do a lot of evil as well. But
I think so.
We have to acknowledge the reality of that, though, right?
Well, who knows? That's what makes me think of Elon Musk. Going back to him. I don't know what he's right now.
I guess that's my question. Like, is it a waste of time, pretty much, for us to have a gripe about a lot of this stuff that we obviously see, but once the cat's out of the bag, like even people say we should have never created a nuclear weapon, and I think the guy, when he initially was doing it, that wasn't even his intent. No. But once the technology is made known, it's there. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't figure that out." No, you did. And that was just a matter of how is it going to be used.
Mm-hmm. We wouldn't be able, or even if you go astronomical with it, we wouldn't be able to be here talking right now if it wasn't for NASA. If it wasn't for satellites, where would the internet be? It wouldn't exist.
True.
I mean, and that's where I think that's where the fine line comes into play is, you know, the advances to technological things that do benefit us in ways that wouldn't be there without them, / the abuse of power, you know, the abuse of the controls of this type of power. And I think that always gets into the hands of the wrong person, always. And that person, of course, will always ruin it for everybody else. But like, we're not going back. Like, it's full steam ahead. Like, people are with this whole metaverse thing, and just the advances of like life experiences happening in the metaverse. Like, people want this AI stuff, and I don't know why I'm so against all of this. I guess because
We watched the Terminator. That's why we're against it.
And every other cyborg fucking movie that we grew up on.
Or even things like Pinky and the Brain.
But I think the other part to that is we clearly see that we're making superior beings to ourselves. It's like, why are you creating something that's superior, that's stronger, has a better memory, can compute and analyze a million times faster than you could?
Like, so why do you think that they're doing it?
Not the greatest idea, huh?
So why do you think, like, if you were a creator and you were designing all of these robots and all this shit that like we're talking about, why would you create something to potentially wipe you out? Like,
how can you not? And I think
why would you though? Like, ethically, how can you?
With so many stuff, even the cell phones, like that, all of these things usually happen by mistake. That came with the NASA stuff where they were trying to find lighter ways to put chips in, and you know, because they had to push the ship up, so they can't have these big, 10,000 pound computers. They had to be able to make them smaller. So you end up learning new things just off of trial and error, even when you're looking for other things. So you just can't turn your back on it. Even if you make a mistake and you figure it out. It's like if you make a mistake, you cooking something, Nikki, and you reach and put the wrong seasoning in there, and you didn't realize, you just reached and you put it in there and it's good. You ain't gonna say, "Oh, it was a mistake. I'm gonna make sure I never do that." No, cat's out the bag. This is bomb right here, and this is gonna get put in from now on. This is gonna be a recipe. I might sell it. I might, ain't no telling.
Right now, like it still trips me out to think that these cell phones that we carry around right now and do all of our stuff with have more technological advancement in them than the spaceships we used the first time we went to the moon.
That's why it's so much. People think like Smack and Nikki think I'm opposed to it, but I'll wait for more information. I'm very leery about it. I don't think they actually went to space.
You don't think they went to space?
Okay,
no.
Yes!
Yes,
I love it. I love when these moments happen.
But see, I'm not one of those Earth is flat people.
No, you're not. You're not. Not yet. You not yet. We gotta give it another 5 to 10 years, and we'll get you there.
I will get there either.
I've seen the transition from day one.
Who knows? Ain't no telling.
But it's conversations like that. It's statements like that of feeling like, okay, well, you know, and of course one person can agree, one person can disagree.
Hold on, Nikki, let me tell you. Oh no, Trish, let me tell you this though. But not only that, with the limited, super limited technology that wouldn't even qualify to go into a Super Nintendo, we got the space. But then they turned around and when I turned around and I heard Neil deGrasse say we can't get to the moon anymore. What?
We lost the technology. They lost it. They deleted everything. They can't get back.
I don't know if they lost the technology. I don't know if the moon is in a different position than what it was before. But to have 1,000 times greater technology, and now you telling me we can't get back there anymore?
Right, but we already been there
in the first place. And think about this also: the initial reason why they needed to go to the moon in the first place. Mm-hmm. They were competing with the Russians. And when Russia said they went around, they orbited the Earth and they did this. And now the U.S. looking for a win because, you know, the Cold War is in place and it's the battle for the superpower. So they had to get a win. And prior to that, they kept exploding all these ships.
Mm-hmm. And this is when NASA was designed.
Manufacture a win. They had to manufacture a win. And now, 70 years later, we have the technology to look back and be like, nah, that was BS. And then, you know, it's people who pay attention to it. They like, where'd that shadow coming from? You know, even when they showed the pictures of them bouncing around, they're like, gravity wouldn't have you bounce like this. It's just so many different things that it don't even make sense. And I'm finished after this.
This makes my heart
back
just
and
smile.
watch the interview of the men who went to the moon and the interview when they came back. I was like, they lying.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't went nowhere.
I mean, Buzz has come out and said we didn't go to the damn moon. He said it numerous times on national television platforms and interviews that we didn't go to the moon. We didn't go. You know, so I mean, but here nor there, whether you do or you don't agree with that, you know, theory, yes, the phone is far more technologically advanced, you know, than.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Than anything in the 60s.
Hello.
Back to that. You know, I was looking at this article. I can't remember where it was. It's probably within the last year or two, where they were talking about the Mars rover and like how Mars landscape looks. Well, they found a place in
fly
Canada
on the rover.
Flies
live in space. Oh, that's interesting.
They had a picture from this place in Canada where the rocks and formations and everything were exactly the same as pictures from the Mars rover.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's many deserts that they use that look just like a barren field.
Matt, Jesus Christ. You mean to tell me you can get a rover to Mars?
Right.
Which is 1,000 times further away than the moon is. The moon's supposed to be right there. The moon is orbiting us.
On the whole other end of the motherfucking solar system.
We can get something to Mars, but we cannot get back to the moon. What type of sense does that make? That's like you saying, "Oh yeah, I can walk to Hawaii, but I can't make it to Indiana."
So hold on.
It's like what?
It don't make sense.
So it looks like that from a different perspective.
Okay.
I've also heard that they saw stuff on the moon that made them not want to go back. Because, you know, the moon doesn't rotate. And there's actually a dark side of the moon, as they say.
The dark side.
And there's supposed to be structures and all kind of stuff on that side. So,
I did hear about that.
But so you still have to believe that they went to the moon, you know. And if you don't believe in the theory of leaving Earth's atmosphere and not being able to make it any further up, like that going to the moon just completely is wiped off the fucking. It's not an option.
I think we can go to space. Can we go that far?
But it's semantics in there. See, I watch Neil deGrasse Tyson on a regular basis. I watch like all of his stuff, and I like a lot of his stuff.
He's amazing.
So this is something like even when they talk about space, a lot of scientists, they're using semantics when they talk about space.
Right.
You can go up to the top
30,000,
like,
60,000, 100,000.
that
It's space above us. It's technically space.
Right.
So even though I can sit there and see you up I can see you flying up there, but after you hit a certain thing, technically they call that space. Mm-hmm. You've reached some outer limit or whatever they call it. I'm like, that ain't the space we talking about.
Right.
They use semantics a lot of times when they say some of that stuff. So I'm like,
right. I don't.
But if you subscribe to the theory that we didn't go to the moon, it changes everything. Versus if you're still subscribing to the theory that we did go to the moon, we did go to outer space, we did go, 200,000 miles out of Earth's atmosphere. No, the fuck we didn't. And it's crazy how that one little line in between either you do or you don't believe changes everything else from that point forward. So then you get into this little shit like all this AI stuff. I mean, like this alien technology obviously came from somewhere. This is not human technology, and of course you get into these, major conspiracy conversations with people who, believe in aliens or people as aliens or subhumans and shit like that. Like all this technology came from somewhere else. But the space conversation, for me, is no longer what I grew up being taught space was, or, what they said they saw, or what they said happened or didn't happen. And I don't know, I guess maybe part of that is why I'm a little bit reluctant to, really support so much artificial intelligence, because the movies never painted a good picture. There was never a good outcome for this. Like, it wasn't a good result for humans and human civilization to be taken over by so much technology and, alien advances and shit like that. Like that scares me.
A good outcome?
You got to think though, I
just got done tearing down about 10 chicken wings. And not even a second thought. These are living beings that share the earth with me. Mm-hmm. But if there's enough of a gap between intelligence, then we don't even value that life. So if we create something with that a big enough gap of superior intelligence, why would they not look at us no different than an ant? If I see an ant, I might try to walk out the way of it, but if I step on it, am I gonna cry? Am I gonna throw a funeral for it? No, I ain't gonna even think about it. So think about something that's superior to us. How important are we? We're important in our minds, just like a cow is probably important in their own minds. Mm-hmm. But that don't stop us from slaughtering them, eating them like they're going out of style.
And then you've got so many things being, revealed to have been truth, right? So you've got people who were abducted in the 70s and 80s and 90s who, everybody made fun of them and said, oh, you're just a crackpot and aliens don't exist and they, they're not going to kidnap you and blah, 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 all this shit. And then these people, have had their lives completely ruined by the United States government and by the handlers and the controllers, of these, conspiracies that have come out to been true, and I try not to tap into a lot of the UFO stuff with everybody, because my views have changed over the last 10 years of my life as well. But just the uptick that I've seen lately of numerous UFO sightings, like something's fucking here. There's no way we can think we're the only beings out here. And where have they been? Some people say that they're from space, but a lot of people say they're from below. They've been here. They're in the ground. They're in the earth. They're in the volcanoes. They're in these, in the depths of the ocean.
Right.
Do what?
They said they're underwater too, right?
I mean, and there's so much earth movement happening right now. There's so many volcanoes happening right now. You've got, earthquakes and tsunamis happening, which these are all things, of course, that happen as the earth moves and plate tectonics do what they do. But I don't know. Are they? Are these things, being called? Like, so this is just shit that I do not like about advanced technology. Is because when it comes down to it, they're going to fucking wipe us out. Like human civilization. I just watched there's this movie on Netflix called, I want to say it's called Extinction, or yeah, I think it's Extinction, something like that. And I mean, I don't really want to give the whole thing away, but the plot twist, I was fucking floored. I was like, this is how it happens. They've made robots feel feelings. They've made robots feel empathy. They've made robots feel love and feel like they're the actual humans. And so when the humans come and try to get rid of all the robots are fighting for their life because they don't want to be wiped out. And it's fucking robots versus humans. And I'm like, I know it sounds crazy, but like, I hope I'm dead before this happens, but I foresee this taking place at some point.
On the flip side, if the robots don't wipe us out, we're going to wipe ourselves out anyway.
Well, you got to think too, like this is actually, you think of the negative, but there's a positive side too. I mean, any of us Trekkies know that there's Data and there was Data's brother, you know, but Data was there. And if we got, I mean, there's there's just tons of positive things that can come from it that we've already shown to come from it. I mean, look at this. Like, I mean, just as much as we focus on these anti-utopian novels that give us this fear, there's also things that have good come from it. For instance, look at 1984. You have Big Brother's cameras everywhere. Well, if it wasn't for us having cameras everywhere watching Big Brother, you wouldn't have had all these cops finally getting caught. You know, like it's a matter of what you do with it.
Yeah, it is about what you do with it. I agree with you there.
Utopian novels are like warnings. It's great to have the warnings so we can be prepared to not let it happen.
But do you think we can actually be prepared? I don't think that there's enough people who subscribe to that being true for them to be able to emotionally, mentally, actually be prepared for the shit, you know? Something as corny as like on the CDC's website, they literally have zombie apocalypse preparedness. People think it's a fucking joke. Why would it be a joke? Like it's literally on the page for a reason. So I think that I don't think that people are tapped in enough to even go there, Trish. I think it'd be too late before, you know, the masses of society were like, hold on, wait a minute, you know, like.
Well, the problem is the education system, not the technology.
Well, it's not even so much the education system. It's just what's being taught, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Like if if people were being taught adequately, then maybe we could make it more positive.
I think there's too many nefarious handlers who are in charge of these things, and they don't have good intention for us. I think it's all about how they can monetize their own bloodlines, you know, and win while they can, you know, at the expense of humanity. Honestly, you know. Something as simple as like the Google glasses and like the contact lenses and shit like that. Like I'm just so not down for stuff like that. And that may make me a dinosaur one day, but I don't know. I just don't feel like I don't feel the good in some of that stuff. So seeing those robot articles and then hearing, you know, the one that you were talking about earlier, Matt, it made a feeling in my gut, you know, listening to it, knowing that this is probably what's coming.
Maybe it's needed. Like, if we were extinct, what loss would there be? Really?
Oh man, no! I don't even want to think about that.
It's gonna happen before we die, so I don't care.
I mean, if it happens anyways, you know. But shit. Like, have y'all seen the little quotes going, or the little meme, little image, whatever going around that has like the picture of like this huge like planet coming into like our atmosphere, and like what do you do at this moment? And I mean, there's nothing you can't, like, it's literally about to crash. You know, and I'm like, you fucking die. That's what you do. Like, it's over.
Don't Look Up? Have you seen Don't Look Up?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. Oh, you finally saw it. You did see it.
I saw it the same time I told you. I hadn't finished watching it, but I finished watching the rest of it that night. I gotta go back and watch that again.
Okay, so y'all both liked it. Matt, did you get to see it? No, you got to check it out. It's almost worth watching a couple times. Yeah. Do you agree? Like, did you see all the shit that they were trying to point out in that? Like, did you catch all the references?
I caught it immediately.
Yeah.
Like, immediately. I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and somebody was like, oh, I thought it was stupid. And I'm like, what part about it was stupid to you? Like, it may not have been a comedy movie per se, but like, what was stupid about it? Because it is the perfect depiction of society right fucking now. Like, literally everything.
Well, did you hear about the guy who wrote it? He wrote it, and they were putting it together, right? And they were about to put it out, but then he was like, well, the whole point of entertainment is to get something more dramatic than real life, so you can have entertainment. He said, well, we had to do some of the movie over again because what we were writing actually started happening. Trump and the pandemic and everything, so they had to redo some of it and try to make it dramatic, and they had to redo it a couple times.
Yeah, I read that.
So real. And then it just cracked me up. We had the asteroid last week, and you had the eruption and all this, and I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. I can't help but get entertained by it.
Well, but it was, and sadly enough, for it to be so accurate, like it kind of shows you like the piss poor state that society is in right now. That you can literally be looking at a fucking comment and be like, no, that's not what I see. It's not that.
It's education, man. He's talking about how stupid people can be, like society.
Look up.
And then at the very end, he's like, they were telling us the truth. Oh my God. I'm like, duh. Like, how many of us be screaming bloody murder the truth, and people just be like, no, I think you're fucking crazy. I think you're just one of those people. And then all of a sudden, boom, shit hits you, and I guess they were telling the truth, But I liked the way that it made fun of the Trump family and just the dumb parts of society that are part of the problem as opposed to part of the solution. I thought it was great. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why whoever you said they didn't like it. They're probably
part of the problem.
Trump supporter. Or strong. You don't even have to be a Trump supporter, but anything where you're a strong political one way or another, strongly religious, strongly anti-religious, anything where you have a set of beliefs and you allow that set of beliefs to define everything you do, then you are
part of the problem. You're part of the problem. Yeah.
It makes it easy for you to be So that was good.
What else you see in there? What'd you pull? Actually, there was one I had in my mind, and I've completely drawn blank.
The recent one was the one I just put up there, where Jay put. Remember when the lady says she's single by choice? That yes, the statement is true, but she's not the one making the choice. The men are. Men choose who they want to commit to.
And I do believe that last part, men choose who they commit to. I believe that. I think we all do, but I do believe that, I do believe that it's a choice whether you want to commit to somebody or not. But there was a lot of chatter on that topic about women choosing to be single, women just saying they're choosing to be single.
There's men who choose to be single. I mean, there's both genders, or there's people who choose to be single, and there's people who end up single because they suck. You know what I mean? Or it just goes with both genders. What about you, Matt?
I end up single because I suck.
Well, but that's different than I want to be single. Like, I'm single and I don't want to be single and I don't fucking suck, but other people do. So therefore, it's just easier to be single when, a lot of other people do suck.
I had a joke.
You had what?
I had a joke for that, but I'm not going to say it. Anyway.
Well, you have to now.
Right.
I would say, well, maybe if you sucked, you wouldn't be single.
I mean, but that's another topic for another conversation.
Maybe that's your problem right there.
Trust me, it's not. Trust me, it's not. It's not the problem.
So here's what I do. Let me go back. Number one, it wasn't that I totally agree with the statement that I put up there, but I thought it was interesting. So at this stage of my life, sound like I'm old. At this stage of my life, I stopped looking for absolutes because absolutes usually are not absolutely true. But most things are. So anything that says always, never, whatever, is usually not 100% true. But the question for me is there any truth in it? And if there is any truth in it, then how much truth is in it? So even with a lot of the comments that I saw on there, oh no, that ain't true. I ain't say it was absolute true, but there is some truth to it. Now let's go back a little further. A lot of the times you hear these statements, I choose to be single. You usually hear women say that. That's usually a woman's statement saying, I choose to be single. Even men who choose to be single, they often don't go voicing it in the same way that
voice
women.
A lot of things, though. The guys don't voice much of their emotions a lot. There's taught to be
Agreed. So you agree with this last statement I just said? That statement usually comes from women.
Yeah.
And you just support it. You gave us a reason as to why it usually comes from women, but nevertheless, that statement often comes from women.
Yeah, I don't want to say
now, I do often
think it more of it.
And let me give more context or more footnotes or side notes to what I'm saying. So a lot of times I will see people either say it in post or say it in conversation. And some people, yes, they choose to. Other people, you saying that, but if it was just I choose to be single right now, you wouldn't have such a negative view on relationships. You wouldn't have such a negative view on men or women, whatever you date or whoever you are. Right. See, those are the telltale signs that it's not just you choosing to be single solely for yourself. If you did, then you still wouldn't have these bitter type views toward relationships in general. That's
there's the people who are, say it and then they're just full of shit. They're lying their ass off. Then there's the other ones who it's, consciously they're telling the truth, but unconsciously.
Right.
Sounds good.
And then you got some people who actually just choose to be single. Yeah, I've been in relationships. I don't have the energy for that right now. Even if I like you, unless I really, really like you, no, I just choose to be single. I got stuff that I'm trying to work out right now.
And that's important. Like it is, I think it is absolutely critical for you to realize like why you're choosing to be single. And I realize that like actual companionship and partnership is not something everybody wants all the time. So I think it's important when somebody tells you why they want to be single or their reasons for being single and like actually validating that as opposed to somebody who's like, oh, I'm just single. But you're just single because you keep fucking striking out. You're single because you keep like you can't stay in a relationship. Like you can't make a relationship work. Like that's way different. And I think that sometimes people use that as the excuse for being single. And so I agree with you on that.
So Nikki, that was the context of what the reason I reposted that is because do I think that's 100% true? No, I don't. But I do think that is an element of when people say that, that's another element that people don't consider. And I thought it was interesting.
Right.
I was one of those in college. I really did. When I was getting my bachelor's degree, like 17 to 23, 22, whatever, I wanted to, don't get me wrong. I was not celibate. But I was very genuine on not wanting a relationship because I was focused on my career, my studies, me. I was learning who I was, and I didn't need any more interference than that.
Right.
So it's there.
And this is where I'm trying to, as I continue on my path of free thinking, I work on breaking down a statement or a question, and then I can acknowledge if something is true just on face value. Now, just because there's more nuance to that doesn't mean that the statement itself is incorrect. Right. It could be like, oh yeah, that's that. So when someone says certain things, I'm like, yeah, that's true. Now, if you want to get deeper into it, now we can talk about some other things, but I don't have to defend my portion of it. Like I see a lot of people who they immediately, even if a statement like this one, there's partial truth to it. And that's the crazy part that kills me, because a lot of people, you personally know people just like that. And you know, even when you hear them say, like, I ain't lying. You see the post of your friends and they say, I'm like, you were just talking to me the other day. You know, so you know that there's an element of people that lying. So you don't have to immediately defend things every time. That's like me or Christians who try to defend everything God related or church related immediately. So the first, you know, if they talk about you know, pastors just want your money and they stealing, you know, they pastors are thieves and they're trying to take your money. There's an element of truth to that. So before I jump on a bandwagon and try to defend everything, yeah, there are some snaky type of pastors and preachers and churches. There are. You have to acknowledge the truth in a statement first before you jump on the defensive. Now, once I acknowledge, yeah, it's true. Now let me show you the other side. There's also a lot of them who do X, Y, and Z also. Anyway, that's my mindset, free thinking wise. I
think the biggest thing that might be helpful would be for everybody to have that consciousness in their mind to remember that when they read something like a post like that, you know, like you said, with the never and the always or something, a lot of times we forget that those words aren't on that meme for a reason.
Right.
Like it's, you know, we've had that discussion before. I know you got opinions on
like
that.
We're programmed like that. Republican, Democrat. Do you kneel or do you stand? Do you put your hand over your heart or do you know, it's everything in our society is an all or nothing type thing.
It is.
So like Nikki would be surprised when I say, oh yeah, I still celebrate the 4th of July. She's like, what? Why would you do that? I'm like, it's complicated.
But
I got issues with my country and I also love my country too. So I can be partially patriotic. So it's but I mean, just in society, we're conditioned to be
one or the other.
And I definitely believe in being gray.
But there's things that we don't want to admit too. Like a lot of us who celebrate July 4th just like it for the pyrotechnics reasons.
But that's the thing. It's like, why? What is it that people don't want to admit? People think that if they admit certain things, it takes away from them. So if I agree with this statement, then I'm no longer a feminist, or I no longer support certain. You know, Nikki got accused of being homophobic for I think she said something about just the athletics or something like that. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you out of all people homophobic. Like,
what the fuck? Wait a minute. Hold on.
What
because I did not, and I do not believe that if you are a male-born woman, I do not believe that you should play sports with female-born women.
Yeah,
I do not know what the solution to this issue is.
Homophobic.
But I was immediately told I was homophobic, and I'm like, I abso-fucking-lutely am not.
No, that person evidently doesn't know the difference between sexual identity and sexual orientation.
And they do. They're a really smart person, and this was somebody who I was very, very close to. So it was rather shocking, but
again, people are trained to be this.
It was like one or the other, and I'm like, no. Just because I don't believe that this is that this should go this way doesn't mean I don't think that transgender people shouldn't just fucking play sports at all. Like that's not the alternative. And I guess you're right, because it's black, white, it's Republican, it's Democrat, it's it's believe in God or don't believe in God. Like people don't find their own fucking gray happy medium where I don't have to literally be black or white. I don't have to agree with yes or no. There is a middle in here somewhere. Do what?
Some people mix.
I mean, goddamn.
Because you mix don't mean you actually black and white. I mean,
you have to see the gray. You to be able to think as a free thinker, you have to look in that that other category. You know, it's not just Republican, Democrat. You know, there's the other section in there.
Hold on, I was joking, but think about that, Nikki. Even someone who's mixed, they can't just say they mixed. Well, I'm black.
Well, you can.
If you're mixed, you black. They can, but society tries to tell you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah,
right.
So Obama's not our first mixed president. He's the first black president of the United States. He's actually mixed.
Right.
But we're not allowed to actually speak to the in-between part of it. You got to be one or the other.
Well,
and parents unfortunately have to even teach their children at an early age.
Yeah,
no,
you know,
you're not mixed. You black. Society views you as being black.
It happens with religion too. I come from a family that's very diverse religiously, and like I dated this guy. He was Jewish. Not that that matters, but he just had his his religion, and that's it. And he would criticize people who combine religions, who practice more than one, and this and that. And I'm like, seriously?
And I would have been that person at one point in my life. I'm sure I was that way.
Yeah, it's you know, if I say that I'm, you know, pagan and Hindu, and
I would job like, oh, you just confused. That's what you is. that would have been my response.
That would have been black and white thinking.
You don't even know what you want.
You need Jesus. Lord.
Religion, so you picking all over the place. You really just need Jesus. That's all you need.
See, and I guess that's why that doesn't work for me, because I can take bits and pieces of things from different things and, you know, not even just take the best parts, but I can take a little bit of this because I believe in this, and I can take a little bit of this because I believe in this. Like, you know, I don't like, you know, like just something simple as like a dating, like when you create your dating app profiles and shit, like, you know, you pick this and you pick this, you pick this, you pick this. I'm like, I ain't picking half this shit because I'm not conservative. I'm not liberal. You know, I have conservative and liberal thoughts on different topics, but I'm also very much in the other section too. You know, I don't know. Some things are concrete and some things are not concrete. You know, but I agree that society is leads us to believe we have to choose. That's why I had a problem with the whole voting process, you know, the having to choose the lesser evil. No, the fuck you don't. We're just taught since kindergarten that we have to choose one or the other. You can only be one or the other. And it's like, if we got out of that thought process and thought like other and made them work, you know, we do control the tables. We just don't know how much control we actually have because we think of one or the other as opposed to, you know, whatever the other option may be. I think that too is part of the problem as opposed to part of the solution, is thinking like that.
Yes.
Pigeonholing your thoughts. It is conditioning.
I keep saying me as on my quest to be a free thinker, because I know there's conditioning in there.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not even joking. Like, that's how I would have responded to you about 16 or 17 years ago. I'm like, oh, Trish, she just confused. She needs Jesus.
Damn. But it's crazy to see how we evolve, you know, how as our access to information changes and our experience changes over time, how much our thoughts change about certain things too.
You got to be aware though, in all areas. Like, you have to be aware that you're constantly there's an attempt to brainwash you on a constant basis. You're already brainwashed, and as you're trying to unbrainwash, there's everything in society and the system is set up to continue to keep you in that same mode. So unlike the Matrix, where you take the pill and then you just set free, you got to keep this ain't a real vaccine. This is just this is medicine that you got to take on a regular basis. You got to keep taking that red pill every day, otherwise you will fall back. It'll start turning purple and it'll go back to blue.
Hey, I'm gonna have to go, you guys. My computer is tweaking, not quit. So,
no problem. We'd be done in about 10 minutes, but yeah, it's good talking to you. Yeah.
All right. Haven't seen you in a while.
I'll try to make it next
soon.
week.
All right.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you later. What about? Go ahead.
So I kept on getting off. I got off and on because my sound was tweaking.
I heard some strange sounds in the background.
Right.
Yeah,
that was
right now too.
Like when you were talking, and I could understand you, but it was getting worse. So I just got off. Got back.
All right, you know what's happening. They about to make this. They're gonna make the 4G tweak out, so everybody got to get on 5G.
Right,
dude. And you know what? I mean,
happen, right?
Well, they're making anything that's not 5G obsolete. They're and people don't think that the 5G thing is real. People, and I don't know. There's just so much happening that it blows my mind for people to sit up here today in 2022 with the things that we've seen. Just like the fucking movie Don't Look Up, right? Like you cannot not pay attention to some of these things, like 5G illness. 5G is real. You've got airlines who were not going to be flying into certain airports because of the 5G interference with their flight equipment. I mean, so 5G is a real fucking thing, and people think, oh, these people and their conspiracy theories and 5G and blah 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 blah. It just makes our cell phone faster. Okay. Yes.
My shit's fast enough.
Huh?
So my shit is fast enough.
I mean, we were good with 3G. We were good with 4G. 5G is nefarious. 5G is not we don't actually need 5G. Like we can get away with 4G technology and we can get away with 3G technology. 5G is a whole nother ball game, and it only reaches so far. So they have to put up an exorbitant amount of towers. Like then you get into the 5G conversation and of course the shit that's in the vaccine. And I mean, this just goes on and on and on. And this is what people start to say. People like me sound crazy.
They said,
but it's out there.
5G started cause COVID, remember?
Yeah, when it first came out, like that shit that we saw happening in China, with people fucking dropping down on the fucking street, that wasn't COVID. A lot of that was 5G illness. Radiation illness, it looks the same. It looks exactly the same. Radiation illness and 5G poisoning look the fucking same. 5G literally cooks the water molecules in the air, atmosphere, and in your body. So if they turn those 5G radiations up just enough and you got one right outside your house, right outside your office, right outside your kid's school, and you're constantly being hit with 5G radiation and 5G rays, it is slowly dehydrating people by cooking out the water molecules in your body and in the atmosphere. And a lot of the COVID illness, especially in the very beginning, was dehydrated people. So people who had, direct contact and access to 5G rays and radiation. And people are like, oh, that's such, it's a joke. And you got a cell phone, it hasn't cooked my brain. Yeah, actually that fucking happens too. Constant chronic cell phone usage. That phone constantly next to someone's face, or that, they say women shouldn't put like their cell phone in their breast pocket, or we shouldn't put them in our butt pockets because that constant radiation coming out of that phone. Like there's been so many things on YouTube of people who take the little radar detectors that emit or detect radiation emissions.
Uh-huh.
Phones are notorious. Smart meters are notorious. Wi-Fi routers are notorious. Like a couple months ago or so, when we were getting our dad's house ready to go up on the market, one night it was probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I was leaving my dad's house, so it was like silent night out, really, really late. And I'm standing in the driveway, and across the street, behind the houses across the street, huge electrical towers. It's an old house, so like old neighborhood, old infrastructure, shit like that. I stood there at my car and all I could hear was just the electric sound of the 5G box, like over these houses, just literally on, transmitting, electricity and whatever the fuck else it emits. And I just stood there thinking to myself, I would never live right here. Like I would never actually buy this house if I heard and I stood there and I saw that across the street from my house. You cannot say in 10-15 years that the little kids who grew up running around and playing in those backyards or in those schoolyards don't have fucking don't have some medical conditions, after 5, 10, 15, 20 years of exposure. Like that 5G stuff is real, man. There's a lot of information out there on it. But there are also things that you can purchase to protect yourself from like EMF rays and from 5G rays. There's things that you can put on your phone that kind of like break the 5G radiation. There's, you know, jewelry that you can wear. There's different type of crystals and metals that you can wear to try to protect your body a little bit, be like a barrier to 5G radiation. But ultimately, because we live in a lazy ass society, this is what people want. They want that fast. So people totally are supporting putting up a tower every 10 fucking feet because, you know, oh, well, I'll have faster internet connection. I can download faster. Like, no.
Yeah. Dangerous.
No, it is dangerous.
Ooh, hold on. Okay. Well, it's two directions I want to go real quick. Dang, we ain't got that much time, but I seen two of them that, hold on.
Go for it. What you got?
So what do you think about the Cardi B and Tasha K?
I hope that she has money, and I hope she has to fucking pay it. You know, the things that she said, you know, I think, you know, shame on her for false reporting, shame on her for slander, shame on her for making a mockery of.
Do you know what she said about her?
Yeah, she said she had fucking herpes.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, she said a host of things, but that was like one of the main things that she came out with, saying that Cardi B's got herpes. Cardi said she was fucked up from that. She's like, I didn't want to be intimate with my husband. She was like, I was disgusted. I was embarrassed. She's like, I do not fucking have herpes. She's like, but here this woman can just literally say whatever the fuck she wants to say. Ooh. And if you don't like Cardi B, you go run with it and just talk shit about her. And I don't care how big and bad and tough you are and how much we're not supposed to care what somebody else says about us. Like, there comes a certain time especially as a celebrity figure, where what the fuck do you do with that? I mean, like, she literally said she wanted to kill herself at one point. Like, what if she had? What if she fucking killed herself over this bitch lies and stories? Right. Like, Tasha K, there should be some type of defamation lawsuit. Like, she shouldn't even be allowed to have a mouthpiece in society anymore.
Yeah, she's so I don't listen to her. I haven't listened to her often, but the times I have, she's very reckless.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
That's why people like her.
Yeah, well,
right. They like that messy shit. I think,
and it's one of those things when you go so hard at people with no empathy. When that stuff happened to you, ain't nobody gonna ride for you, because it's like people looking at you like, yeah, that's kind of what you get. Mm-hmm. That's what you deserve. And that's biblical right there with the, you know, the same. That's where in the Bible it talks about forgiveness and gentleness and stuff like that. You know, if you don't show no grace toward nobody else, when it's your turn, ain't nobody gonna show no grace towards you.
Man. And you don't deserve it at this point, you know. And I'm not one of those people who generally feels like that about most people. I think that most people deserve grace, you know, based on where a person comes from. But when you are malicious and you just straight up fucking lie, no way.
They're not putting you in jail. You're not getting. Ain't nobody gonna strike you down. But the platform in which you using this reckless behavior, your platform gonna take a hit because of how you. And I think that is deserved. Absolutely. I
agree too. I think she got like a $2 million. It's like a $2 million like it's at first I thought it was like 1.8 million, and then like I swear I read today it was like 2.3 or 7 or something. So I mean, I don't know how she's gonna recoup it. I don't know how she's gonna get that money, but
yeah, and you can't be talking a whole bunch of trash, because see, now you picked on the wrong part. You picked on somebody got deep pockets.
Yep.
Right.
They had the time and the energy and the resources to take you to court. And get them good lawyers. Okay, so this is the last one before we get off of here. Kanye, did you see his rant?
Which one?
The one where he was talking about he can't see his daughter for his daughter's party.
Hell yeah, we had that conversation on Freethinkers. Yep. I did. And you know, my overall take on that.
Not really.
So he was ranting, basically just saying that it was messed up how he can't he wants to see his daughter, and he doesn't want his daughter to think that he's not there for them, and they're having a birthday party, and they didn't even tell Kim didn't even tell Kanye where the party was.
I heard about that.
And he was, basically.
Well, then he went on social media live and, tried to play the fucking victim. And I am absolutely not for parental alienation. I am not for bitter baby mamas, withholding children from men. And I am not from bitter baby daddies, withholding the children from women. Like I don't condone that shit at all.
However,
I also do not condone bullshit for my child. So if you are going to be on some bullshit, guess where you don't get to fucking come to the party.
Right.
And people say, oh, well, you're making it about you. No, I'm not. This is actually about my fucking kid, my kid's memory of this experience. Oh, well, their dad's not there. That was his choice. He had just made a song about beating up her boyfriend, which is fine because words, sticks and stones may break my bones. But like, if you are on some bullshit, and we know Kanye to sometimes get on the bullshit, and I love Kanye, don't get me wrong, I do. But like, if you are on the bullshit and you are definitely unstable and you've been confrontational and aggressive, why the fuck would you even want to have that at your kid's party? And we're not together anymore. I don't have to do a fucking thing with you ever again from this point forward. So if I choose to, it's going to be out of the goodness of my heart because I trust you emotionally to be an adult. And if you can't be a trustworthy emotional adult, you don't get to come to the party. And then a couple days later, it comes out that apparently he had suggested that they have separate parties anyway. So it's like, bro, what are you doing? He is.
We got another agenda.
Huh?
Was Pete Davidson at the party?
No, I don't believe he was there. And then they also said that like he hasn't been to her house, because of the kids. But it was a joint birthday between their little girl and then I think Stormy. So Kim's sister and Travis Scott little girl. So they had the two girls' birthday parties together. So Travis apparently told Kanye like where the party was going to be at, where to go, like, come to the party. So he did in fact come to the party, but there was so much hoopla about, how dare she keep him from him. And I just felt like the comments of people who said that came from a bitter space. They came from a hit dog go holler kind of space. And it's like no one is condoning parental alienation. That's the absolute sucker fucking move as a parent.
And
right?
it's one of those you trying to get in through the side door since you can't come in through the front door.
Right.
Using the kid's birthday party and I need to be no, you trying to be next to her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't want to hear all that. Like,
no, listen, ain't nobody trying to do all this.
I ain't listen. When I split, and it all depends, right? Some people have amicable breakups. Some people, they're divorced or they break up or they split. It runs smoothly. It's the mutual agreement. Mm-hmm. Some people it ain't.
Right.
Some people get nasty. Some people be acting a fool. Some people be.
No matter what you do,
violent.
No matter how well you try to do it.
And in those situations, no, we not gonna be around each other. I ain't gonna be around you. You ain't gonna be around me.
Nope. And we're not forced to. We are not forced to. And people have to accept that. I am not required to set myself on fire to keep your motherfucking ass warm. No. And it's okay to be selfish.
Sometimes it be unfortunate, but my son and my daughter, they for the last 3 or 4 years, they get 2 birthday parties.
Right.
They're gonna have a birthday party when they come here, or if I am here, if they birthday land on the day that I got them. Well, what y'all doing? Well, we doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me know what it is so I can come. I don't know if you're gonna be able to come. I don't think it's gonna work.
And sometimes it doesn't, and that just is what it is.
My resolve is like, look, if you like to pick them up the day before, then you can pick them up the day before. Spend, do whatever you want to for the birthday. Y'all spend time together, but what we do is gonna be what we do, and it ain't gonna involve your presence.
No.
because
not
our
if
relationship,
that's where you've put yourself.
It turned in a way that it is not productive or even safe for us. I done lost all trust on that, so it ain't happening.
Yep, 100. And that's pretty much where I was coming from on that post. So I think me and Terry had got into it on that. I was like, dog, your rationale is thrown to me. He's like, your rationale is thrown to me.
What was he saying?
Shame on Kim, basically, that no matter what basically happened, that she should have allowed him to be there. And, she was, excluding him from the party, and it's the father, and who cares about how you feel? Like, what? I said, maybe you like drama at your kids' parties, but I don't.
Yeah. Number one is situational. Number two, if your ex shows to be hostile toward your current or insinuates that they're hostile toward your current, no, you're not coming around. You're not gonna be around.
No, you
not
don't
gonna happen.
No, exactly. Period. Because if some shit does
kids? Well, no.
But that's just it. If some shit pops off, like I don't want my kid to have that as their fucking memory. Like no.
You are whooping your
hello.
Like none of that. None of that is a good look.
I don't want any of that.
In the presence of my children.
No. So you can have a party at your house on your weekend. That's just what you. That's what you.
The thing that
left
flips
it with.
me out in my thing is, I never try to infringe when it comes to you.
Right.
Like, so when you got the kid, whatever the occasion is, I ain't trying to push my way in or show up or do none of that. And I just expect the same courtesy when it comes to me. Like, no, the same way I don't try to pop up. No, I don't want you trying to pop up with me either.
Mm-hmm. But some people get in their feelings. They get the feeling like, oh, well, this my kid and this my dad. And this is where your fucking ego needs to go have several seats.
I dare to say it's usually the person who
fucked up,
wasn't in wasn't in full agreement with the breakup.
Exactly.
Is the one that tries to push events for people to be together and to be, like this ain't no kumbaya. Not now. Maybe maybe in the future, maybe never. I don't know, but I know I sure know it ain't now.
And I'm not responsible for that. I don't have to take responsibility for your shit. I don't. So I had no qualms with her,
and it's
telling him he can't
to
be
see
there.
That Kanye is the one who still wants the relationship.
Right. Yeah.
So his authenticity can't even be trusted.
Right.
No.
And now he's just
gone like that with someone else. I wouldn't even want it. Like, fuck it.
Right.
Matthew, hold on. Let me ask you real quick. Did you see what Kanye said about Big Sean and then Big Sean's response when he was on Drink Champs?
I did.
I think so. I can't remember though.
Yeah, he just basically said the label.
He went no good.
Kanye, label. Yeah, that is. That's kind of that's what I got from it. That was pretty trashy on Kanye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially when I think wasn't Big Sean like didn't they just do a project or something? Like they had just done something together. Big Sean was like, what the fuck? And Kanye did come back and apologize. He was like, yeah, I could have done that differently. I should have said something to you directly.
He called him unloyal. Signing him to his label was the biggest mistake he ever made.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He just said a whole lot of sideways stuff, and Big Sean was like, man, that hurt me. I was loyal to that dude. Even when my agent told me this is the worst deal that he'd never seen.
Damn.
He was like, and I made all that money, and they did an audit. He's like, I'm owed like $6 million that never got the distribution paid the label, but the label never paid me.
So
damn.
I look at Kanye as someone who reacts and thinks emotionally.
Yeah.
I was always taught to remain stoic. No matter what.
Right.
What do stoic mean?
Like poker face.
Poker face. Like things don't bother. Like my dad said, remain stoic. So even when you're doing bad, they'll never know it.
Right.
Good or bad. I'm just
See, this is my problem with Kanye. I want to like him sometime, but then a lot of times
it goes both ways.
Because he's a clout chaser. And if you don't have clout to give him, that's one of my biggest. I don't like people who treat other people who they perceive as less than them bad. I hate that.
Right.
I really don't like people like that. So if you're at a restaurant, you treating the waiters bad, you treat
We talked about that. There's a post about that right now on there.
I don't like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you find Kanye, who, you know, whenever it's these major designers or people who got influence, he'll kiss their ass real quick and do everything he can to kiss up and be in their circles. And then he will do something like that, the Big Sean. He'll shit on other people who he think are lesser than them. Then that's when the whole, you know,
shit on Soulja Boy too in that conversation.
He start with what?
He shit on Soulja Boy on that one too. Soulja Boy was super pissed. He was like, "Bro, we just fucking like you just told me, but you just told me it was
if you
dope.
Say you,
you
don't
just
like
said it was good."
Verse, oh, okay. Well,
but then you go on the show and you clown me like, no, that's straight Buster shit. And I'm kind of like you. I want to like Kanye, and I do like Kanye.
He always, it's like, oh, well, he didn't mean it. He apologized. He just going through this. But I'm like, I don't respect that because you're always selective in how and where and who you do it to. Right. So that same stuff, Kanye don't be blasting off on other people like that. When he don't blast off on people who he think can actually help him.
Right.
But he always get loose mouth around people he think really don't have anything to offer. I don't like that.
Yeah. And maybe
Same
that's
way he talking about Big Sean. I'm sure you know, whoever, Loren or whoever, one of the major designers who he trying to get in good with, he don't put them on blast like that.
Right.
He just said, well, y'all need to let me in the door. Y'all let me in the door. He don't say nothing about it.
He be all up Balenciaga's ass. Like, what? What the fuck does Balenciaga do for you?
At one point in time, but he don't do that. So I don't like selective crazy. Right. I like my crazy authentic. The people I
all the way
respected
around.
in school, I like the bullies who would beat on the little guys and the big guys.
Right.
I had one friend I said I grew up all the way through elementary school with him. I ain't gonna name his name, but I'm like, I learned to respect him because he ain't just come after me. He came after people smaller than him, people his size, people bigger than him, people older. He ain't care. I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna fight everybody, I gotta respect it. But when you only go after a certain person who you think is lower than you, then I can't respect that. You selectively crazy. You're not really crazy.
Well, and now you're being kind of a bully. You're picking on, you know, it's the whole pick on somebody your own size type shit. Like, you know, and that was one of the comments that he made about the whole birthday party thing. He was like, he's like, what did he say? He said something like, I'm a billionaire black man or some shit. Like, you can't tell me I can't come to the party. And somebody was like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? You know, but maybe that's what happens when you become a billionaire. Like, you get this other part of you. I mean, that's just a lane that I ain't never tapped into. So I don't know what that feels like, but there's got to be a level of success that you've obviously reached in order to be a billionaire, you know, let alone a black billionaire in America in 2022, you know, like that's a upper echelon, regardless of whether we like him or not. That doesn't excuse the behavior. And I do believe that some of his behavior should be excusable because of his emotional issues and mental health issues, but it does not excuse you from being a jerk. It doesn't give you permission to, like, you know, shit on other people. Like, that's a dick move.
Yep. So
there's a topic there's a brief topic about that I just posted on Facebook on the page earlier, about people don't go out to eat with me if you constantly have to fucking call the manager over, you know, or people who treat servers like shit, and, you know, just those types of patrons at restaurants where you just expect everybody to, like, fucking bend over backwards for you. And like, I don't want to eat with you because they're going to spit in all of our food. Like, you're fucking this up for everybody.
Right.
Like, those people.
Don't do that when I'm with you. I don't like that.
I like that.
I try to make sure that I go to the same places all the time, and that the places that I go to, like, I love the employees, hopefully just as much as they love me, you know, like, my food is always perfect. Customer service is always perfect. We're always getting something free just because we go to places all the time, and, you know, we're good customers. And, like, I've known a few people over the years who I'm like, I will never go out to eat with you. Like, you literally are a miserable, miserable person. And, like, I don't want to eat with you because you're going to spit in all of our food. Like, you're fucking this up for everybody. customer. Like, you suck. Like,
right. It's like you, and then those are the same people who always go into restaurants. I'm like, if you always got issues, why you always going to restaurants?
Right. You should
it's
just
like
stay home.
You want to go dump on somebody. You trying to
you
looking for somebody to go dump on.
Tip for shit.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, no. There's a quote says something like, you treat the president of the company and the janitor of the school the same fucking way. Absolutely. 100% believe that. Absolutely 100% believe that.
All right, so we're at 9:45.
9:45. Well, we'll have to drill up for some topics for next week. I just feel like there wasn't a whole lot of anything really going on, in social media world and the news world, really, not trying to beat ourselves over the head with the vaccine conversation, but
there you go.
No, I'm not. Speaking of that,
I let Nikki know Friday I tested positive for COVID Thursday.
How are you feeling?
I have had no symptom or anything, nothing.
And so have you had to retest, or did you retest just to make sure?
I asked. I'm going to a new school this week. I was supposed to start Monday at this new school. And I told the principal, I sent her my results, and she said I only had to quarantine 5 days, but I'm asymptomatic. I come back tomorrow.
Dang. I know when you told me that, I was like, we just freaking talked about this.
I had a runny nose when I was outside chopping wood the other day.
That was it.
And then I was putting some bird seed out at my mom's house and carrying some bags, but I've got a runny nose, but it was 25 degrees. So
right. That don't make no damn sense.
Around here. You shouldn't be on this. You shouldn't be on this show right now, Matt. We're going to have to see all vaccine cards before we let you.
You got me fucked up.
I'm not vaccinated. Here's the thing, though. I'm not vaccinated. And then a friend of mine, her daughter and both are vaccinated and boosters, and both had COVID the last 11 days. Her daughter missed school. Sick, but she's got vaccines and a booster. So,
this is the part that's killing me, Nikki Reagan.
Oh God, here we go.
No, the other part that's killing me is it's like y'all ain't trying for no. So obviously, this ain't the most optimal vaccine. If you can take the vaccine 3 times and still get it, are y'all gonna try for something better?
Switch it up.
Are there any they've shut it down? Ain't no other companies even try to look for any type of vaccines or technology. It's this is what you got. This is what we got. This is what you got to use. And I'm like, dang, that's it.
Right.
That's it. Well, did you see the report just came out that the CDC said that natural immunity actually has been found to be more effective than the fucking vaccine? My girlfriend tagged me on it yesterday. And she's like, I ain't gonna tell nobody else though. I said, oh, but you gonna make sure you tell me.
Natural immunity,
I've been saying that. I'm like, this is probably if this is this Omicron is a a less lethal version. This is probably what you want to go and get.
Right.
To build
up your immune system.
Yeah,
exactly.
Where now your body has something to identify with later on in the future. So this will turn into.
Now you have a new marker. Mm-hmm.
Right. The only thing that made it different from the cold or flu is just our body didn't know how to identify with it.
This is
the same way that we do the cold or flu. So
this brings into question, am I just naturally immune to it? I'm going to test it positive, no symptoms, or have the links I go to boost my immune system actually work?
And because we don't know. It'd be nice to say one or the other, right? Because I didn't take a test. So, if I would have taken a test, I don't know what it would have said. But I didn't take a test, but I definitely did not feel well. And today makes exactly 2 weeks since I think I got COVID. And it literally, I think it was, let's see, today's Tuesday. So I want to say it had to have been Saturday. Saturday was the first time where I could literally feel like I think it had left my body. Whatever the virus was, I think it's actually fucking gone, because I wasn't real sick, but I was very, very tired and lethargic. I had no fucking energy to do anything. And it wasn't just oh man, I'm really tired. It was walking to the bathroom, trying to take a shower. I had to sit down, and all of a sudden, Saturday, almost day, I don't know what day it was, but almost, however many days into it, Saturday, I was I feel Like it's gone. Like I'm not tired. I'm not lethargic. I don't feel winded. I didn't really feel horrible. But to the flip side to that, I said the same thing, Matt. Like I've been taking my vitamins, you know, all 4 or 5 of them every single day for the last 2.5 years, was fairly healthy prior to that, am fairly healthy. Like I had just hoped that was always going to be the shot that I gave my body, was that if I do get it, hopefully my body is strong enough and with my natural immunity able to fight off whatever, you know, I get. And, you know, thankfully, if I did get it, it was probably Omicron versus Delta, because Delta seems to do a lot more damage to people. But it also seems to do more damage to people who have the fucking vaccine versus those that don't. Like I've got a friend right now who's on his 3rd round and he's boosted. And he's like, I feel horrible. And I was like, well, shit, your body got some shit in there that is not supposed to be in there. And you're not healthy and you don't take care of yourself and you smoke like a fucking chimney. Like, you know, so all those factors aside, like we gotta stop ignoring. It's not just natural immunity. It's your body's fucking health. If you're not in good shape, it's going to kick your ass harder than somebody who does take better, you know, care of their body. And I think that a lot of people are, you know, who are not vaccinated are finding that they're getting hit with COVID, but it's very light. You know, it's not, I mean, obviously not all cases are that way, but it's your bounce back is a hell of a lot better than those who, you know, have a vaccine, have had a negative reaction to the vaccine, you know, body is, I mean, they just said that like a 4th booster shot is actually now not good for your immune system. So like what's going to happen when you do catch the common cold? It's going to kick your fucking ass. You don't have the body's ability to fight off naturally.
My mom, who is vaccinated and boosted, she seems to think I had a false positive.
And that's very possible. A lot of those tests are not accurate.
There's no way that you didn't get any kind of symptoms or anything. I'm like, yeah, there is, because there's been millions of people who got it and didn't have symptoms.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
that asymptomatic thing goes against But the asymptomatic thing goes against everything we've ever been taught in science class. Like if you are a carrier of, you have a symptom, even if it's just a fucking fever, that's what then makes it communicable. If you are symptom free, like, but you know, earlier this year, the CDC put out a thing that the tests were actually not even allowed to be used anymore after 2021 December, because there were so many false positive readings coming out. And, you know, this is why people, when they would try to challenge me with the data conversation, I'm like, fuck your data. That shit's not accurate. So you think about something as simple as, had I went and got a test and I tested positive at home, that data doesn't count towards shit because it's not reported. Right. So the data is always going to be skewed, but it could have been a false positive. You know, when people say, oh, I tested positive, but I have no symptoms, or I tested negative, but I have a fever, I feel like shit, like something's going on. Like, you have to question those damn tests.
I'm not going to go the false positive route. I'm going to go the route that my body fucked it up, whatever got in me, and didn't affect it. So.
But even then, your body would have generally spiked a fever as your body put the fucking gloves on and fought whatever invader was going into your system. So
and I was ready for it. And my daughter, she lives with me, so I'm like, look, I'm tested positive. You got it if I got it, more than likely.
Right.
You're in my face all the time. And nothing. I mean,
Yep. So. Well, that was my 3. Now my daughter's already had it. She's had it twice since it started. She had it before, like everybody else had it, like back in 2019. She had it then, and then she got it again that following Easter Sunday. So she's had it twice. My boys, you know, when I got it Tuesday night after the show was over, I was like, y'all, you've already been exposed if I have it. So it is what it is, but shut my fucking door and y'all let me just sleep until I wake back up whenever I wake up. And so about 2 days afterwards, my son had a fever, like 102, 103 for about 24 hours. And that was literally it for him. And then my youngest son, my diabetic, he just wasn't feeling well. So I think his body absolutely was fighting whatever was probably about to take place. And his body fucking won. You know, because his number stayed good and he never had a fever. And then it was over. It was it. It was done.
The nurse at school told me that I probably had to have it for 2 or 3 days at least before I tested positive, and I hadn't tested for 8 days prior to that. Like the Wednesday before I tested,
right.
and 8 days later on Thursday I tested. I kind of had a little headache.
I had the headache.
Like
yeah.
Friday and Saturday before even our last Freethinkers.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little, a little sinus stuff going on. I was thinking, so shit, I could have been right there.
And that was my first red flag, is I had an excruciating headache, which is super rare. I don't get headaches. And I was like, what the fuck?
I didn't even take any medicine or anything. It was just.
I didn't either. I know my friend was. I had people telling me, take Motrin and take this and take this. I'm like, y'all know who you're fucking talking to. Like, I appreciate the concern, but like, until it gets into my lungs and I can't breathe, like I'm good. Like I'm okay. My mom was like, maybe you should go to the hospital. Fuck no. It was the last place I want to go. Right. No way. Mm-mm. So it's interesting, now they say that, who was it? Bill Gates had just put out a memo like yesterday, I think, maybe it was today, but he was like, urging the United States government to basically set aside billions of dollars for the next pandemic, because we're going to get hit by something that's like way worse than Delta or COVID. And I'm like, man, here we go.
What's he got planned?
Exactly. So if these people are talking about it, my first thought was follow the fucking money. It's coming.
Yep.
And he's got 240,000 acres of American farmland. He owns more farmland than any other person in America. He owns farmland that is on protected native land. Why the fuck does Bill Gates need 240,000 acres of American farmland? And he's in bed with Monsanto and all this GMO shit. Like, he's the universal vaccine, spearhead. I'm like, if Bill Gates tells you that we got something worse coming, we probably got something worse coming.
He got something to do with it. When his wife said she was divorcing him, I'm like, it's something up. It's
oh yeah. Yeah.
She knows something. She's like, I don't want part of this.
I don't want no parts of this. And think about how many of them
when it hit it, because usually, see, and the wealthier you are, that stuff they so far ahead of us as far as knowing things that's gonna happen ahead of time. She already know it's gonna hit like 2 or 3 years later. She know that. She like, I'm jumping down. That's like simple thing in business.
Yep.
Whenever you see higher ups stepping down, or they found another opportunity, so somebody.
And think about that, Q. Remember last year?
Way ahead of time before the average person, though.
Was it? I think it was last year, because last year was like the first like full year of COVID. Remember last year, like 14, 15, 16, 17 different CEOs over the course of a couple months like stepped down from their position. Disney and Bezos and Bill Gates. I mean, like all these people started, these multi-billionaire figures in what I call the pandemic. They started stepping down from their business positions, their wives, going through divorces all of a sudden, like you just can't look at those cards falling and be like, oh, this is no big deal. No, this shit's a huge deal. Yep. So I did not feel good when I saw that today. Bill Gates saying, the government needs to put aside billions more dollars, for the next thing coming. And I'm like, what are you bringing? What y'all finna do to us? What's fucking next?
And then it amazes me, and I'm not even that type of person. It just amazes me how people will keep glossing over that. He keeps talking about how we need to control population and minimize. We got too many people on Earth, and like y'all actually, he really said
he said this. Yes,
y'all
just he's been saying it.
Don't look up. It don't matter. We're already conditioned, so it don't matter. So if you or I say it, then that's just them.
Crazy people. Yeah.
If they don't hear actual official news media people saying it, then they don't think it's legit.
Yep. Ooh, and that is definitely the bane of our society. Yep.
It's 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock. All right. Well, thanks y'all for joining the show tonight. It was good to see you too, Matt. We hadn't been able to chop it up with you like officially in a while. I see we got Jules over there in the comment section holding it down. For some reason, wherever you're commenting at, Jules, did not transpose over here. So I don't see it on the screen, but I see it on my laptop. But thank you, of course, Jules, for holding down in the comment section. Sheldon, I saw you over there on YouTube. So thank y'all for joining the show tonight. Anybody else watching still? Thank you for the support. Follow us over on our YouTube channel, please. Share the conversation tonight. We just had a, just a cool ass conversation. Sometimes it be like this. We don't have topics, so never feel like you've got to be knowledgeable in anything or everything to come and just sit in with us on Tuesday night and chop it up. Shoot us your topic ideas.
Let me add to that also. A lot of people of our free thinkers, y'all have some really dope and interesting posts that y'all put on Free Thinkers. So sometimes it's just a good opportunity. If I hadn't had the time to get into a dialogue with it, it's a great time to talk about it now. So with that being said, keep posting. Some of your topics that you see may be talked about on our Free Thinker Zoom. I just think it's a good time to recap and go over some of the things that were seen on the thread. So with that being said, we do this sometime, and actually I like it a lot of times like that. So where we just talk about what's been talked about or not been talked about on the thread that's still interesting. So keep posting and also keep being involved with the live conversations as well.
Absolutely. And share. Invite some folks to the page. And with that being said, we'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place, 8:05.